Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, Principal Atmospheric Scientist at Nutrient Ag Solutions, and I want to thank you for watching this weekly Ag Weather Update brought to you by the Farm Credit Associations of North Carolina. Let's begin by just taking a look at where we stand in terms of the accumulation of growing degree day anomalies. With April kind of firmly in our rearview mirror here, this is a map that shows you from March 1st all the way through the beginning of May where we stand on that anomaly map. And we see that much of the eastern part of the United States, especially the coastal regions here, are well above average in terms of our accumulation of growing degree day units, and that has been largely complements of a ridge that has been at times set up over us, giving us a flow pattern that's done something like this. And that is a flow pattern we're going to continue to see throughout much of spring and potentially throughout summer as well. Looking at the National Phenology Network here, this is neat. This is a spring leaf index anomaly. I've shown it to you a few times here. And what it does is it just looks both from satellite and also from a network of observers across the country who kind of take a look at how things look compared to average in terms of the greenness of our leaves. And certainly, if there's a place that's ahead in terms of spring, it's this region right in through here. Much of the rest of the country, not so much. There's another way to look at it as well. And what we can do here is we can take a look from space at something called the Vegetation Health Index. And the neat thing about this is we can compare this year to a year ago. Now, the closer you get to this part of the color spectrum, basically the healthier the crop looks from space. And for much of the south and the southeast, look at this, from Texas all the way to the Carolinas, we are certainly looking much greener than we did a year ago. And this has been, a kind of a common theme. Now, in addition to all of the, the earliness of spring, we have seen at times some very, very severe weather. And so far this year, we're well ahead of average on severe wind reports and also on tornado reports. But what's interesting is to look at precipitation. We're looking here at the last 30 days. And what I want you to see is that while we have had over this time period some wetter conditions, there are some pockets here in parts of the Carolinas getting back into Georgia that have been dry. Meanwhile, massive flooding is going on the Mississippi River and its tributaries just to our west here. But the point is to kind of take a look at where that severe weather is going to be in the coming days. Because if we're going to be adding to the precipitation picture I just showed you, well, we need to see what's going on to our west right now. This is what Sunday brought us. Look at the storms blowing up at the Central Plains. Our question is, when does this get to us over on the eastern part of the country? And to do that, we got to take a look at what the flow pattern is doing. Right now, we're kind of blocked up. And the blocking is happening here with this high over low pattern. The blocking is happening up here with this deeper trough bringing cold air into the northern plains. And the blocking has been going on with this ridge that's been occupying much of the southeast. Now, this particular pattern is going to produce a multi-day severe weather outbreak that's going to happen in the central part of the United States. We're going to have to wait until this broader trough finally moves east before we get some stuff going here over parts of the Carolinas. So very interesting pattern. Let's step back and diagnose this one. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Where's our severe weather? It's tucked away in the Central Plains. It's going to take some time for this to get over toward the southeast, and it won't be toward the end of the week before we start to see anything significant. And that's why through the next 5 days, the National Blended Model is showing this. This is all the way through Friday at 7 p.m. Outside of some widely scattered showers and thunderstorms, which are normal for this time of year, much of the action is going to be here over Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas. It's going to be over parts of the Corn Belt as we wait for this big system to go racing midweek up toward the Great Lakes states and then finally impact our weather here over the southeast. Okay, so when we just take a look at what happens after this, this is a map that's showing you day 4 through 10. You notice that as that trough finally slides off to the east, that's when things start to get going here for us. Outside of that, though, this week is going to be relatively dry. We're also going to continue to stay warm. Look at this. This is the day. This is the next 5 days. So day 0 through day 5, we still are featuring this pattern where that ridge is not only kind of shielding us from the precip, but also keeping us warm. It won't be until we get really into next week that we start to see some cooler air slide in this trough through the Central Plains all the way toward the Carolinas here. But really, we're going to hang on to our warm bias throughout much of the next 10 days. It won't be until we get into the 11 to 15 day time period that we finally start to see what I would call more seasonable, maybe even slightly cooler than average temperatures as we stretch this out toward the middle of May. But putting it all together, let's just see what the pattern is holding. Through our next 15 days, we have the European model over here on the left, you can see the wetter bias. But remember, that's not coming in until we get this system to finally move by the end of this week over toward the north and east. Meanwhile, look at this. Parts of the Corn Belt, we're drying down here, but Central Plains, South Central Plains, very, very wet. Also, take a look at this. The U.S. model, the GEFS, which is over here on the right, has a little bit different picture. You notice how they're not quite as wet as the European model. But remember, this is all out in the longer range forecast here. So that's kind of our bigger picture. Let's kind of step through and look at some of the details. If we just take a look here at the European model 500 millibar height pattern, what do we see? I just took you out to next Friday. We still see through this Friday here, May 10th, the ridge is hanging on. That's the warmer conditions. But we're going to have to watch this trough right here finally sweep through. Now, I want you to watch it again with me here to see the timing on this. Ready? Here we go. You will see that ridge lasting through the end of the week. And then it won't be until early next week. There it is. It finally slides in. That's when the wetter weather gets here. That's when the cooler weather finally gets here, which means we go about 10 days from when I'm recording this video until we start to see that. Now, the bigger question I have is how long does that cool down and wetter weather last? And take a look at this. We see that by the 16th, 17th, and 18th, what is the model kind of telegraphing for us? Well, I kind of start to see another trough getting going here in the west and maybe back into this ridge here over the southeast, which means you go back into the pattern we just left here at the end of April and the first couple of weeks of May. Okay, so we're going to watch that carefully. So it looks as though as we get past, this week into next week, things change, but maybe go back by the third and fourth weeks of the month. Taking a look at precipitation here, if I play this out for you, what you're going to see is the Central Plains really light up here. But it won't really be too much action other than some widely scattered showers and storms for the Carolinas throughout much of this week. But here's the monster that's going, and it's going to race on up to the north and east. And as it does so, let's see what this means for precip over here in the Carolinas. So let's go ahead and click play. And what do we see? Again, I got you through Wednesday here. Widely scattered showers and storms. Certainly going to be a warm week. But watch this. By the time we get into Thursday and Friday, and then for our weekend next weekend, that's when we get the best chance at some storms. And then you're going to see starting off next week as the broader trough gets over to the east, Sunday night into Monday morning, that's when the widely scattered showers and storms really get going here. So this week dry, watch out for the weekend. Again, this week only hit or miss scattered showers and storms. Okay, it's next week where things get a little bit wetter. Putting it all together, this is just getting you through next Monday. And you can see it coming. Extreme flooding thread in through here. But notice as we get over here toward the shore, overall, we kind of see a drier pattern. We're going to have to wait until next week before this all really gets there. But certainly to your west, a lot of flooding to be dealing with. Again, I want you to be watching beyond about May 16th, 17th, and 18th for the pattern to go back over toward a trough that sits here in the southwest and ridging here over the southeast, because this will have a tendency to keep coastal areas a little drier, but certainly going back into this very warm pattern. But again, we're talking here about May 18th, 19th, 20th as this pattern sets up. And just to let you know, the U.S. model has a very similar picture overall with this pattern as we move into the middle of the month and the third week of the month. And just to kind of give you some longer range update here, I took you out to the week ending on May 25th, and we go back into this. So this has me thinking we're going to continue to stay on our warmer trend, even though we got some cooler weather kind of sliding in after we get past the warm week we're about to have. So complicated pattern there. Hope you're able to kind of follow me along as we kind of diagnose this. So I still have a concern over seeing this region see some drier conditions as we progress into summer. And that's simply because if we go back into this pattern, we bring in the warmth, we bring in the ridging, and that can really just kind of isolate the southeast. It can isolate part of the Carolinas here from getting the bigger weather systems as we move into the middle and end of this month. Now, speaking about longer range forecasts here, take a look at the brand new model updates here from the European model. And what do we see? We see that much of the central part of the country is forecast through the month of June to carry a slight cool bias. And what I'm getting concerned about is, look at this. This is what the European model is picking up on precipitation. Do you see the drier colors that are in here? This to me says look out for the ring of fire pattern setting up. That's why you see the cooler colors in through here, because this is a lot of cloud cover. This is a lot of showers and thunderstorms. And so we see this corridor in through here that looks wet. and I have a feeling it might be orbiting around higher pressure that sits over the southeast. Now, I don't like that. That is a pattern that we have to watch out for because that pattern sometimes signals drought. Now, I'm not calling for summer drought just yet. I'm asking you to watch this with me week after week to see how things evolve. Now, just to take you one other place globally, I want to show you what's going on in parts of Europe right now. We have got this deeper trough here, and they are experiencing in parts of France, parts of Germany, getting into the several countries that are right in through this area, some colder weather. And they had to light the smudge pots. You can hear them burning there because some of the vineyards in this part of the world were actually so cold they were seeing some sub-freezing temperatures. And so they light these up just to keep the near ground temperatures above freezing so that they don't kill those grapes. So I want to let you know there's some adversity around the rest of the world. But look at this Russian wheat belt, where we grow corn, soybeans, and wheat. Very warm in the upcoming week here. Just thought I'd give you a little bit of a global flavor as we wrap up this forecast video. And with that, though, I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions want to thank you for watching this video. Hope you look forward to our next update coming out next week. Thank you.